Struggling with prop firms? Let's go.
Okay, interesting day today with gold. Very bullish. Now obviously without wasting any time, you just sort the mic out so you can see clearly. I'll move myself out of the way as well. Very bullish. Obviously we can see price just creating new highs, you know, breaking old highs, creating higher lows, and super simple, you know. And obviously how one could have taken advantage of this, and like I mentioned previously as well, we'll be making more videos on the basis of you know, what certain trading instruments have been doing on a daily basis. And yeah, so I mean, gold, you could have capitalized on, you know, on gold today in a few ways, you know. As you can see now, obviously not every trade would have been a winner. Now if you do trade less, brilliant, you know. But sometimes, I mean, I trade quite a few currency pairs just because the way my strategy and my concepts are. I, you know, go off volume, trend, you know, the trend as well. Very important. I think if you trade with the trend, and okay, let me get something very clear, right? I don't know why I put this one here. When you trade with, by the way, I do have my leg up in case someone's sent me, you know, I do like to have my legs up on the chair. I'm one of them few people. I just find it super comfortable. Especially helps me keep calm when I've got any live positions on. Got in my Lucozade bottle here as well. Yeah, so need the energy, the glucose. Anyways, come back on track. Right, so basically, price is pushing further up, right? I'm just gonna mark up this one and this one. Okay, so let's, I mean, look at this. Look at this, how you could have even had an applied zone over here as well. And shout out to some of the members in the one-to-one elite mentorship. If I will show you over here, obviously, by the way, link will be in the video description. Discord community, we're up to about almost now 49 away from 1600 members. This was obviously when I passed a small little 10k account, you know, just always explaining and saying, you know, start small, right? Start small. People just buying 100k accounts, 200k accounts when they don't even have a clear edge. Insane, right? Absolutely insane. So I mean, you can see here, right? First trade lost 1%, second trade, boom, 1 to 9, right? Doesn't mean I'm special, doesn't mean I'm talented. No, my edge is what gives me the confidence, right? And obviously, but if you're looking for one-to-one mentorship, just message me. Link will be in the video description, like I mentioned. Direct, you know, DM me. Obviously this is what opens up, and obviously if I show you some of the trades of some of the students, this particular student, you know, his first ever 8.66 RR trade that went to 1 to 15. Now you're probably wondering, if it's a super high winner, risk to reward, and the winner is, you know, must be low. It's decent. Let me just put it at that, you know. This is one student here as well. As you can see, when you do go for the little bit of, you know, big win rates, risk to rewards, but the win rate, and not everyone goes for the huge risk to reward, but the win rate is quite decent. Now obviously, now think about it, if you go for a 1 to 3 on average, right, and you know, you lose what, let's say you win 3 trades, 369, you lose the remaining 7, you're still up 2% on a 100k account. That's 2 grand. So, you know, definitely, yeah, worth checking out. By the way, this is like the public where everyone can see. It's all about transparency. Testimonials here as well. Yes, so if you've been struggling for a long time, check it out. So let's get back on track, right? So the edge, what I'm showing over here, guys, this is what made me profitable in the beginning, but obviously the refined version, or what I'm using currently, the break and retest where I refined it now, is what the students are using. That is not what I'm showing over here. Obviously, it would not be fair to if I was just showing on you know, on here. By the way, I've made everything affordable as well, right? You know, it's someone that I do have a course, but it's the most affordable course on the internet, right? It's not like I'm charging an insane amount. Then someone's like, oh well, if you're a profitable trader, you know, why are you selling a course? Yeah, first of all, 2 answers. Number one, look at the price, and it's gets updated automatically every time I upload new videos. So even if it goes to like 100 videos, just think about how much you've paid, right? Number two, my answer is Elon Musk is the world's richest man. Why does he still make cars? You know, so I'm just trying to provide value, and I am sure that would probably be his answer as well. Just trying to give value. It's not always about how much you make and all that, you know, these kind of things. It's just about you trying to provide value, provide good value as well. And what I'm trying to do is provide more value than actual for what it's way 10 times more than what it's worth. Okay, so price create higher lows, you know, there's a higher low over here. So where would my areas of interest be if price came tumbling back down? One would be here. Now obviously this is becoming a potential area of interest, right? Now if you was to, obviously you can see over here, right, price. Now obviously I'm not going to spend too much time cleaning these zones up, you know, but you can see why if you took a trade from, now someone will be like, oh well, look at this, you know, entries from this breakout here. If you took an entry and, you know, take your stop loss pretty much, let's say about 300-400 points, you would lose the trade, like I mentioned earlier. Yes, you know, some losses are here as well, that's fine, but you can see when price broke through this zone, right, look at this create. I'm sure if I go in the small time frame, it's gonna be a rejection. Let's actually do that, a small rejection, and then price eventually obviously gives us a nice 1 to 3. Now if you're in the mentorship, you know I like to use a tight stop loss, so we pretty much even get a nice 1 to 4.5. But you see, I want to explain something though. I want to, you know, mention something. Try to keep your zones brand new and fresh and clean. What do I mean by that? This was the area that had the created zone. Price broke through and broke through again. People like to call these fake outs and all these kind of, you know, give them the fancy terms and all that. They might be even fake outs, whatever you want to call it, right? I like to call it manipulation. You know, you like to give them all these fancy words. I keep it nice and simple thinking, right? Price broke through and broke through again. Price broke through, right? But this time support held its ground. Price, now in this case, what I want you to again, keep your zones fresh. So this trade here, even though it might not look like it, even though it obviously turned out to be a winner, it is a high it's a high risk of losing, in my personal experience, right? If it's a fresh zone, now this might not be the best example. Why? Because this fresh zone, when it was a fresh over here, because price never broke through until obviously this was just holding its ground resistance. But price, when it broke through the first time, is still overall, if you want to call it losing trading, unless you're a 1 to 2 trader or R trader, you still would have lost the trade if you were going for the bigger risk reward. But over this one, funny thing is, right, so the first time it was a fresh zone, we lose the trade. The second time the zone was not fresh, this was the one that, you know, but overall, over a series of trades, this is a high chance of losing, right? Let's put it over here. Okay, so we've got resistance created. Price breaks through. Look at this, our resistance created, higher new high. Price then, if you go to a small time frame, and always, you know, small time frames will always, it's just like zooming in, right, or magnifying with a magnifying glass, and you're just checking out. It's like, the example I can give is, suppose you have a suppose you have a cloth, right? From far out, it just seems like an ordinary cloth. If you zoomed in with a microscope, you'll see like bacteria, you'll see other you know, kind of like particles. So that's just basically when you just go into a small time frame, just looking at different particles. So we can see now we've zoomed in. So now look at this. This was the resistance. Price broke through. Now I'm going to zoom in. Price broke through. It's come down. I'm not going to take my entry from there. That'll be very silly. I need it to come back down. This now is my area of interest. This when it comes to tap in, right? I go to the small time frame. Look at this. Which candlestick pattern do you think is the one that's the money candle? This one here. This one. I'm gonna color it black just so it sticks out. And obviously you probably can't even see that properly. Let me shade the color of it. Should we give this blue one here? Whatever color this is. Long wick rejection, super strong bullish candle, right? Price, you always, by the way, another tip, right? Don't even always enter straight from that candle when that candle closes. Price will always, you can backtest this, majority of the time, 80% of the time, price will always print the next candle. It will retrace a little bit down. Get that extra breathing room, as you know. And then obviously you can see price from here just obviously goes nicely into our direction. I mean, how much does it give? 1 to 5, but I mean, let's see, even up to here, 1 to 4. That's nice. 100k account, that's 4 grand. 200k account, 8 grand. Let's keep the ball going. So this is obviously, depends though how these candles close. Super simple though, right? I mean, trends, once the price starts trending like this, you can start doing some serious damage. But it's not even about doing damage, it's just about, you know, when you're trading with the trend, price is doing all the heavy lifting for you. Super simple, right? If I was to clean all this out, watch this, right? Super clean. Where's price going? You can even ask a 5-year-old, where do you think this is going? We're bullish. No brainer, right? Let's bring all that back. Okay. So now, I mean, I can even show you. Let's bring in another example. Let's bring in something a bit wild. US 30. Just gonna remove these drawings here. We'll bring in US 30. Okay. So, what do we see over here? Right? A lot of bullish volume. Just this one over here. Okay. So, price, look at this. Price was first creating, look at this, lows, lower highs, right? Price is on the way down, clearly, until, look at this, this was a low as well. Now, just one moment, I'm just moving this out of the way so you can see more clearly. Okay, now people like to mark their lows in different ways, shapes and forms. They'll actually mark them as wicks or the candle bodies, right? This is a low as well. This is the wick here is lower than this. I just like to go off the candle bodies, me personally, right? I just have to go off the candle bodies. You could take these into consideration, but I don't, or you know, use them both. Me personally, I just like to focus on the candle bodies, because I mean, trust me, it's much more, you know, from my own personal experience, I just understand it better like that. It helps me, right? We've got a lower high here, a new low, and then something starts happening, right? Where is our next low? It's not here. Price now creates a new high. Basically it breaks. So I'll change the color of this, and then it starts making, you know, we've got a new high, a higher low, new high, and then obviously we've got this whole area here which just maintains as support, hold its ground. Now you guys tell me what should be done. Now obviously, you know, let me just change the color of the, I'll just keep them at here. These over here, where do you think, look at, if I drag it all the way back, what's, obviously I can clean this up. Let's actually do that. Watch this. Right, look at this. This low, low high, boom. This is what price actually started to respect. Right? How crazy. Now, not just that, this previous low over here is actually what price was actually, you know, bouncing, you know, obviously, if you want to call it liquidity sweep, whatever you want to call it. But this area here is what price was actually going off, right? Now, you might be wondering, well, Adon, you know, if I would have taken my trade from, let's just say we've got the breakout here, price comes down, you know, now I would have taken my trade from, let's just say over here, I still lose the trade. Well, yes, you do. It's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer, you still lose the trade. But let's just, so what we'll do is, let's color it orange so there's no confusion. You lose the trade over here, and then what? And then what happens? You've got new highs, remember. This one, right? And we've got new high lows. And this one, right? So let me just move this. Just got a notification. Okay. So now we've got obviously, you know, this area here. Now once, just one moment. Okay. Do you see what's happening? Price breaks through, comes down. Now it doesn't matter. Let me just refine this a little. Remember when I said candle bodies, not the wicks? Price comes down. I'm sure I can go to a small time frame and grab an entry. Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Take it back to that 300 points, 250, whatever you want to call it. And we still managed to get an almost, pretty much a 1 to 5 risk reward. Call it a 1 to 4 even. Let's play nice and safe. Now, I want to give a little bit of information, right? And for that, let's bring in the leaderboard, which I'm not always I've been a fan of, but I've had a chat with in the past with some of the few students. I just like to get my payouts and run, right? But I want to show you the leaderboard, and I want to speak about something that you need to take into consideration. And the funding pips, it does this very, very well. So huge props to them. I've not basically seen others might start implementing it, but I want to go over something, and you're gonna find something like this very, very helpful. I'm about to show you. If you look, example here, just an example on the 50k account, on who's number 1, number 2, number 3 on the leaderboard, we'll get, yeah, right, etc., etc. Look at their average loss and look at their average win. Focus on what do you think they're going for on average risk to reward in terms of risk to reward. So let's look at the guy who's number 1, right? Is risking basically 2%. Number 1 is on a 50k account, so he's risking 0.5%, and he's pretty much going for, let's just call it 800, right? Let's just say he's risking 200, going for 800. He's going for a 1 to 4. The guy who's number 2 on the leaderboard, he's risking a little bit more than 1%, but I'm guessing he's getting hit by a little bit of slippage or commissions and all that. So he's basically risking 500, and he's trying to make 1500, 1 to 3. Now, obviously, this guy here, he's risking 300 and making 3 grand. So he's going for like the 1 to 10. Now he's going for the 1 to 10, but look at this. He's still below the guy who's going for like 1 to 3s and 1 to 4s, right? Now, someone might be like, and this is very useful information, because you got to think of it like these guys who are appearing on the leaderboard, they're just going for typical 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s. Now you might be thinking, well, Don, there's someone not adding up. I show big risk to rewards on my channel, right? And number 1, you probably not see me on the leaderboard, right? For what you don't know, right? For example, or what I'm not shown. Number 2, obviously for our transparency, but I'd never target the leaderboard. I just like to, if I secure a payout on my accounts, I just go on to my another one and I'll just move on. I've not been interested in the leaderboard. My students, like some of the ones I spoke to, simply because I just think the leaderboards are designed for you to fail, right? Because suppose you target now, props to another thing about funding pips, and by the way, I have no affiliation with them. There's no reason why I'm just gonna give the props to deserve it, right? On their leaderboard, it starts from top 50. So as soon as you start hitting around 10%, I think that's when you come on the leaderboard. But what I'm trying to say is, obviously the start goes as little as 5k accounts. But what I'm trying to say is, it's not like other platforms where it's top 10, right? Where the race begins, like you to get even top 10. No, you can just relax. Even if you come top 50, your name will get shown. But my point, what I'm trying to say, guys, is obviously I go for these big risk rewards because I can still maintain a decent risk reward. Win rate, but that does not mean, if I continued in trading for that, yes, like for funding pips, top 50, what, trying to hit 10%. That's very realistic for me. Very realistic for me. But I like to just secure that free 4%, you know, and then move on to the next account. Free 4%, you know, depending on because I know what it is like. If I just went for kind of trading, greed is gonna creep in very, very quickly. Very, very quickly, right? This stuff here, yes, it might be good for promotion. It might be good for, you know, I'm number one. No, no interest at all. Just give me my money. I'm on my way. You know, maybe down the line. But you know, this is not the message I want to try and get across. What I'm trying to say, right? Just the way I always say, start small, get small accounts first. This here, you should have zero interest in the leaderboard. Zero interest. The only reason I'm showing you this is that even if you target little 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s, it's enough to still make you profitable. And I want to show you something else as well. Watch this. Right? Look at this guy over here. He caught my eye straight on a 100k account. You see this guy? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? Where's he gone? It's the one, he's using a negative risk to reward. Whenever, I've just lost him again. Let's remember he's number 9, so remember him. Whenever he loses 600. Whenever he wins, he only wins 100. So he's using a negative risk to reward. He's got a 90% win rate. Oh, Hannah. I'm sorry, apologies. She's using 39 win streak. So how crazy is that? But 175 trades she's taken. This individual's taken 244 trades. That's crazy. Remember, you get your payouts within 2 weeks. So 255 trades. I'm guessing some of these might be with scalpers. But forget everything. Forget all this. Forget all this here. I think they've take into consideration the win ratio, which is insightful. But this over here, this is data, and this is data for free, right? This is data for free. Check this guy over here, and you'll even see the ones who use the biggest rewards. They'll have their win rate. Obviously, you can follow losing streaks, winning streaks. Powerful information here in my eyes. Very, very powerful information. So in the beginning, remember, when I'm speaking about this leaderboard and all that, and you guys, I'm speaking on the perspective that I'm speaking to my viewers. You guys are unprofitable right now, so don't start going for these swinging for the fence, right? In my students who are going for these like, going for these big risk rewards, and remember, not everyone is even going for the big risk rewards, right? To keep it a nice little 1 to 4, 1 to 5, that's still very real. Like one over here, going for just a simple 1 to 2, a simple 1 to 2, right? So it's not that everyone who comes in my mentorship or we're going for the swinging for the fence. No, what I personally like to do is, as everyone knows, if once my trade goes to like a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, I'll put my stops at break even, and then I just let it run, right? So if and then I start trailing my stop loss. So if it goes to a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, I always have something to fall back onto. So it'll fall onto a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3. So technically, you gotta think, am I actually going for big risk rewards? Yes. But also at the same time, if it falls back up, so it's like I'm going for 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s as well. I have something, like a cushion, something to fall back onto. Be smart, If you are going for don't go for 1 to 15s, 1 to 20s and all that. They do happen. Like some of my, even when I've shown in my videos, I've shown a one trade when I caught a 1 to 22 risk to reward. But at the end of the day, if you watch the video, there's obviously, I don't go to see a lot of detail, but there's confluences that I looked at. That is why when I held my position for what I did, call it looking at taking into a bigger time frame into consideration on things like that, but you'll see that going for big, huge risk rewards, just focusing on them every single time, it does not work. It will not work. The market does not operate like that, right? This particular student that was number 4 on the FTMO leaderboard, this and obviously it looked 30% in 2 weeks. He was just going for a typical 1 to 3, So if you take anything from this video, just take this. be realistic. Don't try to create something new. Target those decent win rates, risk rewards. Keep it very, very realistic. But yeah, I hope you found value from this. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Take care. I'm out.